We got a little video for you today. We're out on a nice sunny afternoon. It was supposed to be rainy, start of a big rain spell for our area. So I thought I'd do a little bit of looking around for places to go see. And one thing caught my eye that I remembered was on this road was this homestead over here that you can see down in this valley. Now when we moved down, this was an active place, and that was around 99 we moved down. But, as you can see, it's part of a low valley. You have the hills up there where the power lines and stuff are because of the power plants in the region. That's not why it's empty, most likely. Most likely it's empty because down in the tree line, there's a pretty good sized stream that is part of the ones that fills up very, very rapidly, but also backs up very rapidly too because of the amount of tree debris and other stuff that it washes down. So then you'll have a backwash of water that comes up and floods this side of the road, land, and a lot of the houses along here were damaged. So many of these places have been cleared out, or the ones up ahead past that high tension wire, those had been fortified with more dirt being added and concrete to build up the land higher so that those places could be useful rather than just floodplain. Now you can see there's a nice old tobacco barn here that's been here for years. I mean, probably 80, 100 years at the least. Now you can see that this was not an easy place to get to. You know, I mean, you had to kind of drive. So we're going to step down. You can see a lot of wind today. I'm going to step down and look at this barn, just in it. I don't know if I'm going to go in today too far, because as you can see, there is a bit of debris around. I might go on in, depending on if I run into anything like bees and hornets, because I don't know about your part of the country, but right now we are getting a lot of those bees and hornets. So here's what happens when you don't maintain a barn. Now it's interesting that there's a doghouse here. And there's a lot of stuff. It looks like maybe this is scrap that was picked up from people, you know, collecting what was clogging their parts of the land. Here's a pill bottle. So that's interesting. Part of a mower, part of an old school TV. Looks like a couch, possibly a fold-out couch. So a lot of stuff that looks like how this looks was probably pulled out of the flooding. Somebody was just trying to clean up the land and tossed it here. But the doghouse, sitting up like it was, almost looks like, especially with the way the dirt here, it looks like there had been a dog living here and somebody was just feeding it while it lived here. It was a stray. It's a shame. It's a good old barn. I mean, even with this part here falling away, you can still see that a lot of the structure is still solid and would have been one that many people actually tear these down and then sell to someone else, and people set them up on their land. There's a lot of these people who are building this faux, you know, farm type of environment on their land, and so they want this old school farm buildings added to their land rather than a new barn of this style to give it that authenticity feel. Now this isn't, if I'm correct, probably not part of this property that I'm going to show you that I was talking about, the house. The house is actually up over here ahead. And around the corner. Now you can see that this house has seen better days, and you can see the area the house is from partly just by the satellite dish that's down there. I mean, that's your big old school mid to late 70s to early 80s satellite dish style. You know, the big monster dish that people were buying the descrambler boxes out of Popular Mechanics and Popular Science ads in the back of the magazines, and maybe from billboards or from posting boards at grocery stores where people would be selling them on the sly. So let's go take a look at this. As you can see, it's been quite a while that this place has been in a state of disrepair, to put it mildly. You can see this was very beautiful country. Just look at the hills and everything and stuff. And I say was because when we first moved down here, much of these high power lines were not here. And that was one of the things that we really liked about our area when we first moved here, was that compared to the part of Illinois that my wife and I came from, there was not the problem of so many power lines surrounding you. You know, when you read the different reports of, you know, illnesses related to high tension wires being close to, you know, people's land, it's not a cool thing. And so now we're surrounded by all those, but some of these power plants in our area are closing. I'm saying the one closest to us, but maybe the one 4 miles away. And the sad thing is, I don't know if you know it, but I didn't know it, but until recently, but the power that's created at a power plant usually is not for that area. It's usually being funneled off through the grid to another area because the amount of power that it's putting out is so high that it's too much for that circuit, apparently. So here we go. As you can see, this has been kind of raided and stuff, and some of this might be stuff, like I said, came out of the floodings. But here's a really nice old sun-bleached sofa just sitting out. There seems to be a love of sofas in this region. Okay, this might actually be a later one of this style. This is probably one of the later ones of these style of large satellite antennas. And the reason I say that is because that's got a little more complex cone on it than many of those have. Back in the day when I was a kid and they'd start being popular, you know, when that started to be the competition for cable TV at the time. You can see all the stuff that's here to be walking through, quite a bit of different stuff to try and navigate. You have brambles, sticker bushes, trees, possibly poison ivy, which I don't react to poison ivy, poison oak, or poison sumac. So that's kind of cool. Kind of sad that that's wasted, but I guess it's so outdated it's probably not that much need for someone. So I'm giving you a little bit of the kind of the wildlife, fauna, flora-wise in this area. As you can see, this house has seen better days. It was probably a decent little ranch. Let's go around this way because it looks like it's kind of a clear path here. I mean, this is one of those definitely way long decay encroachments type of deal. Here's an old doghouse, maybe a chicken coop, but kind of a real simple structure. I'm not knocking it because I don't know if I would be able to do much better unless it was from a kit. I think it would be a doghouse probably. But here you go. You can see this is a larger house than I thought, just from this part here. That kind of makes me wonder if there wasn't a possibly, because of the way this wall looks. Yeah, let's go look at this window in here, because there's some light coming through from the backside. Yeah, this has a it's not a foundation. It's actually a basement house. It's not just one on a foundation or stone. So it looks like the center of the house, probably from water flooding in, filled the basement. That undermined the structural integrity of the house in the center, and it fell in due to the flooding and stuff. This was also a test because it's hot today. And so for the first time I thought I'd wear shorts. I've seen Dan Bell and others do that. But like an idiot, I wasn't taking into account the amount of sticker bushes and berry briars and stuff that I would be subjecting myself to. So that's my stupidity. But I am doing fairly well considering. So it looks like my initial idea was correct, the way it's fallen in. So this is at least a different level of decay that we get to see here. I have not seen this type of thing up close, and I'm not seeing very videos of this, but as you can see, this is what happens when the foundation of a place gets undermined, probably by water damage, and then the whole house falls in on itself. Or it could already be pretty bad, and one of the heavy microburst or windstorms or tornadoes we've had come through here and mess it up. As you can see, it was a well-built house. This was not chintzy. You know, if you look at the beams and everything, those are good 2x4s and everything. We have a lot of bumblebees buzzing around here. You can see from the windows that's probably 70s maybe, from the look of them. That's the first vehicle I saw go by, and that's if you saw it in the video over the distance, I don't know if you saw it from the hill up there, is a postal service vehicle. This used to be a pretty popular road, but it's not as utilized as it once was, as a kind of a bypass for some of the stuff. I don't think I'm going to go around that way, since there's not really a path that I'm seeing. I'm going to probably reverse. Well, let's try this. Yeah, let's try this. I'll see how far I can go, because I would like to get you all the way around without having to reshoot the same places. Oh, here's some scat. I don't know if that's raccoon or if it's deer or a possum. Maybe one of you that's an outdoors person would know. Here's a pet taxi laying there that somebody lost when this, either from a flood or from this place here. You can see how close this house was to the hill behind it that leads down to the ravine that leads to the stream that turns into a flood. Yeah, you can see this is all brambled up and like saplinged up, so I'm not going to get through. I think I just saw something move, so I'm going to go back through this little copse here that I stepped through and walk back around to the actual front, and then to that side that we couldn't get to. Hope your day's going good. My day's really nice. It's beautiful here. I'm going to take a minute maybe or so to try and step forward and show you this hillside that I'm talking about a little bit earlier. And maybe if you can see the water flowing down there. That'll all flood all the way up to here sometimes. I know that sounds incredible, but this region is so miraculously powerful for its flash floods. I mean, you know, 12 by 60 trailers washed off their foundation, houses washed off their foundation, on some of the heavy, 3 to 5 day rainstorms. And it'll be washed miles away down the river sometimes. Here's some more scat. That could be something. That's weird. I'm not sure what that is. Could that be bear? There are black bear in this area. But yeah, you can see quite a bit of opportunity for there to be creatures nearby just by the stuff that I've came across scat-wise. So let's get around here and get out of this mess. We can go up and see the other side of the house. So that is some pretty interesting desert destruction that this place has, had happened to it due to it not being maintained. So it's interesting. There's that little thing of wind there like crazy that was there when I started the video and was talking to you about. And it's just right here. It's not, you're not feeling a big breeze where I'm walking you to. It's just that little area in front and a scans to the satellite dish. So maybe it's bouncing off the satellite dish and causing a kind of a whirl to it. So I'm going to try and maybe step up over here. I'm looking for snakes. Yesterday, I was showing the guy that mows our lawn for this year what parts needed mowed and stuff, and I came across like a 2.5 foot garter snake. While he was mowing, he told me, but when I went to pay him, that he came across a 6 foot black snake in our yard, which I definitely, not surprised can happen, because it's happened before up in the back of our hill. And we live in town. We live in actually the city proper. But it's a whole different ballgame in this region with wildlife coming into your area. Okay, this is some really old roofing here. Let's step over here and get another shot of this place. Kind of bask in its destructive, glory, shall we say. So this was a porch more than likely, and this was, where you'd be standing, sitting, watching the sunset. And there's all that sad destruction. This was a pretty large house. It was a much larger house than I thought from the road. And it's pretty sad. But given, like I was saying, the amount of water damage that happens here, it's not a surprise. Anyone need a new mattress? That looks pretty fun. I don't think the bed bugs would stay on that one even. Let's see what we got in the... Well, it looks like this would have been a garage at one time that was converted into a family room. The door's open so you could go on in. Had that piece of paneling not been laying there. Okay. Whoa, what the heck's that? Oh, some type of plastic. It looked like some kind of weird rib cage thing there. I think it's an old shoe. Like an old woman's shoe. So, well, the roof of the, well, actually the ceiling of the thing doesn't look like it was the best design of the porch, because it was unpainted particle board. They had a nice little deck on here. I mean, it doesn't look like much now, but it probably was much nicer when the linoleum and everything was on it. Or maybe this is as far as they got before they decided they weren't going to go any farther. The reason I'm standing here kind of askance with the phone is because I had a hornet circling me and I was trying to watch where Mr. or Miss Hornet was going, or wasp. So yeah, looks like there was an outbuilding there. I mean, there was a concrete structure, well, foundation that looks like it's 2-tier from where that was. So it's kind of interesting. So that's interesting. Yeah, it just shows the destruction that happens sometimes from these rainstorms and from the flooding here. So I thought I would just do this today and let you go.